The Search for Collective Value, Kendrick Lamar's Impact on the Black Lives Matter Movement, by Andy Feliciano. The Black Lives Matter movement is a movement of justice, compassion, and justified anger. Its frequent calls to end systematic oppression are a necessity within a society that seems to turn a blind eye towards the needs of colored people on a daily basis. Nonetheless, it is a movement mired in controversy. Counter-movements, such as All Lives Matter and Blue Lives Matter, seek to delegitimize the arguments at the core of Black Lives Matter as a means by which to preserve their elevated social status. Amongst the core tenets of the movement are restorative justice, collective value, and being unapologetically Black. While many artists have addressed these tenets in their music, few have done so as masterfully as Kendrick Lamar on his 2015 album, To Pimp a Butterfly. To Pimp a Butterfly is a headfirst nosedive into Blackness, consistently addressing police brutality, Black stereotypes, generational trauma, and the lack of financial literacy within poor communities of color. The album's opening track, Wesley's Theory, directly addresses Wesley Snipes' arrest for tax evasion in 2006. Most notably, it addresses how, even when marginalized people achieve success, their lack of financial literacy can lead them to their downfall. Kendrick emphasizes the systematic nature of this problem and how it is a fault of the American educational system for placing impoverished people in a more disadvantaged position. Also, both on Wesley's Theory and the album's fourth track, Institutionalize, Lamar actively discusses the corruptibility of money and how it can hold people captive, thereby diminishing the true intrinsic value one feels. This directly ties into the idea of collective value within the Black Lives Matter movement. Instead of one's value being reliant upon the amount of money they have, both Kendrick and the movement emphasize the wealth of their respective communities. The album's seventh track, All Right, serves as a beacon of hope within an unscrupulous system. Its frequent refrain of, "We gon' be alright," was utilized heavily by Black Lives Matter protesters in the summer of 2015. It boldly addresses police brutality throughout, evident by the line, "And we hate po-po, wanna kill us dead in the street faux show." Needless to say, that lyric in particular sparked outrage by some right-wing pundits, to which Kendrick responded, "The senseless acts of killings of these young boys out there, this is reality, this is my world, this is what I talk about in my music. You can't delude that. Hip-hop is not the problem, our reality is the problem of the situation." Overall, All Right addresses the idea of restorative justice in a succinct and effective fashion. In a justice system that persistently demonizes Black men, Kendrick expresses his fear of corporal punishment at the hands of law enforcement, but repeatedly reminds his community that change will come despite the oppressive circumstances. The final song I would like to discuss on To Pimp a Butterfly is the album's 12th track, Complexion. This track discusses colorism within the Black community and encourages Black people of all shades to be proud of their skin tones. This ties into the Black Lives Matter tenet of being unapologetically Black. Throughout history, light-skinned Black people have tended to be viewed more favorably than their dark-skinned counterparts, largely due to their diluted skin tone. This was reinforced during slavery, when light-skinned slaves were often allowed to tend to the house instead of the field. The core of colorism is rebuked in the song's third verse, when the featured rapper, Rhapsody, says, "Being light don't make you smart, being dark don't make you stupid." Ultimately, complexion is a direct criticism of colorism and self-hate within the Black community. Both Kendrick and Rhapsody emphasize how, regardless of your complexion, being Black is something to be proud of, not to apologize for. The reason I chose to study Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly is because it is one of my favorite, and objectively, one of the best albums of modern American history. Its stories are deeply personal, but reflect a systematic and collective struggle within poor communities of color. Its production is infectious, utilizing heavy jazz and blues influences as a means by which to acknowledge the history of African American music. It inspires me to be more selfless and a more active member of my community. It also inspires me to reflect within myself as a means by which to discover my true identity and utilize it to help my friends and family. And most of all, it inspires me to recognize the discrepancies within the modern American landscape and that, although all lives do matter, people need to hear that Black lives matter more than ever before. And I can't thank Kendrick enough for helping me make that realization. Thank you.